How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a market update, going over the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq, and we're also going to be doing a trading update, talking about what I personally did today in the markets. And let me tell you guys, it was a crazy day for me in the markets today. And I also want to go over a bunch of stocks, a bunch of ETFs that I'm watching right now and that I'm looking to trade in the month of April. And like you all saw, the markets, they did very well today. And I want to go over really the only good catalyst in today's session that pushed the market up, and some negative things that we got in terms of jobless claims numbers that were pretty, surprising, right? So a lot to go over in today's video, and all I ask from you, as always, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel, and also consider joining our free Discord group chat and our Facebook group linked down below in the description box. So let's get right into it, starting off with the SPX, the S&P 500, which, like I said 30 seconds ago, did very well today, up $56.40, up nearly 2.3%. And this is all thanks to the spike in crude oil. The spike in crude oil was really the only positive thing, catalyst, that we saw from today's session. And let me show you guys, while we're at it, what crude oil ended up doing today. It went from nearly $21, $22 a barrel at 9:30 a.m. this morning, once the market opened, and it went from there all the way up to $27 a barrel, which, if you guys see that move, it was up, I believe, like 25% at its peak. Maybe not that much. It was up 20%. I know that for a fact. And this is because Trump was saying that there's roughly, and let me read these numbers to you so I don't mix anything up. Let me pull up my notes here. He expects a 10 million barrel production cut and potentially even a 15 million barrel production cut. He spoke to Putin and Saudi's Mohammed, and I can't pronounce his name. You guys know who I'm talking about, though. So that, all in all, spiked the stocks, a lot of energy stocks, and in general, the price of crude oil here, again, 20%. And we know how, the price of crude oil a couple weeks ago, when it tanked, it had a negative effect on the stock market. So we can see kind of the price of crude oil and the stock market, maybe they're not completely correlated, but they do have some correlation on certain days, and today was definitely one of those days. So back to the S&P, we can see that we're pretty much holding that channel that we've been talking about in these videos, right? We broke the support under 25.20, 25.30, making that a resistance. And once we broke that support, we were 24.50 and 25.30. And you can see clearly we actually tested that this morning, the support at 24.50. We rallied up, tested 25.20, 25.30 on 3 separate occasions, dumped back down, and popped back up towards the close of the market, ultimately closing at 25.30. So for tomorrow, in terms of direction, kind of where we're going to see the S&P go, these are the main levels that I'm watching, right? If we gap up above 25.30, and we start to trend up towards 2,600, we may very well have another green day tomorrow. That's possible, right? Especially because we saw a pretty bullish close here towards the end. A massive green candlestick here in the last minute of, or couple of minutes of trading here on this 5-day, 5-minute chart. So I'd watch this next level up for the bulls, right? But let's say the bears take over, we end up dumping back into, let's say, 2,400 territory. We may go down and retest 2,450, which I personally think this is the more likely outcome, and I could be wrong, right? But I think if we test 2450 and we break that level, there's going to be another leg down in the S&P to the point where we may be going down to, let's say, 2300, which would put us right around here, which, like I said yesterday, that's going to be another 6% move down for the S&P, and with kind of the fundamentals deteriorating, we just got a $6.6 million jobless, not $6.6 million, 6.6 million people filed for unemployment, jobless claims over the past week, which completely blew away expectations and doubled the previous week, which was a record in itself of 3.3 million people. So I see the fundamentals continuously deteriorating. I'm not seeing it get better. The only way I can see the markets, miraculously recover is if the Fed comes in, which they are, right? Infinite QE. If the Fed comes in and ultimately just floods the economy with, stimulus, which in that case, the market could definitely keep going up in the short term, but ultimately, I think the fundamentals are going to overpower, right? Because there's just a lot of negativity, a lot of negativity. But as always, I'd love to know what you guys have to think about that. Counter anything that I'm saying. Agree with it. Let me know your opinion. I would love to know. Now, taking a look at the Dow Jones, which ended up going up 470 points today, 2.25%. We can see it actually held a support quite nicely today at about 20,800. And for more downside carnage, damage to the downside, I would need to see a break of that level, right? At that point, I could definitely see the Dow seeing another leg down, maybe 19,000, as that's another major level of support coming up, maybe even 20,000 flat, right? That's probably the next main level we should see on the Dow Jones, as a support on the downside. And then after that, maybe 19,000. Now, looking at the Nasdaq, it actually did the worst out of the three major indexes today that we track on this channel, up 2%. Still a pretty good day. And in normal times, a 2% green day, that's fantastic. But now that we're desensitized to massive moves in the market, 2%, it's like, just another regular day in the markets, right? But nonetheless, the Nasdaq is holding in this little range, this channel between 7,500 and roughly 7,650. And yes, you guessed it, just like the S&P, once we pick a direction, we're going to know, at least in the short term, where we're headed, right? And by that, I mean if the Nasdaq pops above, let's say the bulls win 76.50, we pop above it, there's a good likelihood that in the short term, we could maybe go back up and retest 7,800, 7,900, right? But let's say we get rejected, 76.50, we may be going back down 7,500, and then you guys know if we break that level, technically speaking here, there could be a lot more selling. Maybe down to 7,200, maybe down to, let's say, $7,000 flat, or maybe even back to the 6,000 level to test that low at 6,700. So overall, that's kind of what the markets did today. Very strong day out there, and really, it's just because of oil, guys. There weren't many other positive catalysts. Again, the main fundamentals, the economy, everything is still deteriorating. And once this curve flattens in terms of the CV, that is when we might see a brief pop in the markets. But then again, the economic it's the damage is still going to be there, and it's going to be long lasting, and it's going to lag a bit, right? That's how it's going to work, in my personal opinion. And in terms of what I personally did in the markets today, it was a fun ride, guys. And let me tell you, quick disclaimer, I do not advise anybody to do what I did today. I was feeling a bit crazy. I don't know if it's the quarantine getting to me, but I saw Luckin Coffee this morning, LK, and if you guys did not see what happened in this stock today, this company, it was crazy. Let's put it that way. The COO, the company pretty much cooked the books. They botched the numbers, and let me read exactly what happened here. I put it in my notes. Well, it's not anything specific. It's really just the COO, the chief operating officer of the company. He just fabricated transactions. He fabricated sales to the point that, if I'm remembering correctly, it was affecting like millions of sales, millions and millions of dollars. That's what, or I don't know if they go by dollars or yuan. Either way, millions and millions of, false dollars. He fabricated to cook the books. And the stock, I haven't seen something like this in a while. The stock went from $27 literally at 8:30 a.m. Market's about to open in an hour. I'm sure people are eyeing up Luckin, maybe short-term play. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's down to 374. And I was thinking to myself, imagine those people that bought a put option yesterday or the day before or whatever, and thinking it's going to go down to maybe, from 27 down to, let's say, 24. Imagine they wake up and they see this thing down to $3. Imagine how much money certain people made that timed that correctly, that quite frankly got lucky, right? There's people out there that made a crap ton of money. Let's just put it that way. And for me, guys, today, when I saw Luckin drop, initially I didn't want any part of this thing, right? Because I've traded stuff like this before. The risk in it is that it's going to get halted, because a lot of the time when you see a massive drop like this, maybe it's an overreaction. In this case, it could have been. A lot of the time you see the stock try to come back up, try to rally. And once I saw it do exactly that, start rallying this morning, let's just say this is why I don't advise you guys to do this, because I kind of went against my my rules, and I kind of traded with emotions a little bit today. This is not good. This is not good at all. You can get burned doing this, but you can also make a pretty decent amount of money doing this as well if you get out correctly. And for me, knowing that I was doing something a bit crazy, I went into LK with a smaller amount of money, right? An amount of money that, for me, it's not significant in my portfolio, right? It's not significant in my trading account to the point where, yeah, if I botched the trade, lost 20%, which very well could have happened, it almost did happen, I would be fine with it. And, what I personally did today, guys, and again, I do not advise this to you, is I got into Luckin at $6.50. This is the candle that I got in on, and I got filled somehow. And again, when these halt, you can get caught in either direction, and you can get caught in the halt, which is very dangerous. And by that I mean, and I'll show you guys, I got in at $6.50, and I rode this thing all the way up to about $10, and I wasn't able to fill. My orders were not filling on the way up. And this is when my adrenaline started kicking in. I was like, oh my goodness, this is not going to end up well. And then all of a sudden it started to go down. And this is the very dangerous part. And what I was telling you guys about getting caught in the halt, right? Because this thing was halting on the way up. I forget if it's every 7% up, 10% up. Either way, it was halting, as you guys can see, during these time periods here. And on the way down, it was halting. And when I got, when it got to 10.19, it pretty much was halting every candlestick down that you see here, I believe, and I wasn't able to get out until $7 per share. So I pretty much got in at $6.50. I got filled, and I wasn't able to get filled on the downside until $7, my limit order. So I pretty much rode the position up, and ideally, this is where I should have gotten out. But again, my limit order wasn't filling. And then I rode it down. I rode it all the way down. I almost went negative, but somehow I got lucky and it filled at $7. And it was a pretty big trade at the end of the day, guys. From $6.50 to $7, it was an 8% move. But either way, I was kind of bummed out because I didn't get the whole, not the whole profit, not that I'm expecting to, but I missed out on a lot. But then again, now that I'm looking back on it, after market hours, I'm kind of lucky that I was able to get filled, and no pun intended, since this This stock's called Luckin. Ha ha. Okay. Hope you guys got that joke there. But either way, that's what I did today. I do not advise you guys playing with fire, but since I do keep it real on this channel, I played with fire today, and that is what I did. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you were able to profit trading this crazy roller coaster of a stock. And heading over the next couple of days, I am for sure going to be watching this like a hawk. Another stock that I'm watching like a hawk, guys, is Tesla. And oh boy, Tesla did it again. They're up nearly $100 per share here after hours due to their delivery numbers beating expectations. 88,400 deliveries made in Q1 versus the 80,000 expected. 76,200 Model 3s and Model Ys, 12,200 of Model X and Model S. And this is pretty good stuff, guys. This is pretty good stuff. I don't know how Tesla's delivery numbers are going to be affected for right now due to the whole CV. Probably the next quarter's numbers, they're going to be a bit hurt. But for these numbers that we got, pretty strong, right? Pretty strong. And looking back, not that, I try not to, look back and be like, oh, I wish I got in, blah, 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 because hindsight's 2020. I hate when I get caught in that mindset, right? Because I always tell myself, Stas, hindsight's 2020. But either way, I'm looking back on it now, and I'm like, I should have scooped up a share of Tesla, more shares of Tesla here in the 360s. But guys, then again, this thing could end up dumping, and we might get another $250 stock, $200 stock. Who knows? Just because it went up right now on some short-term good news does not mean that it can't go back down. Now, to go over some other stocks and some ETFs that deal with crude oil, USO is an ETF that I'm watching. People ask me, what ETFs are you watching, guys, for oil? There's a couple. One of them is USO, which was up 25% at its peak today, ended up closing up 16.6%. And this is simply a United States oil fund. And if you guys want to do more research, see what's in the fund, go onto Google and, of course, do your own due diligence. But if I do that in this video, the video will be 50 minutes long, and I think we can all agree that is a bit too long. And when it comes to another one, XOP, so another oil ETF I'm watching. This one was up about 8.5% today, up about $2.50. And when it comes to individual stocks, we have ExxonMobil and Chevron. These are the two big dogs that honestly I think are, in terms of balance sheets, probably some of the better off companies out there when it comes to oil. We see a lot of oil companies, energy companies now left and right going bankrupt, and that's the risky game that you're getting into if you're looking at oil plays, because a lot of them at the end of the day are risky. And another one is Chevron. Let's take a look at, I forget the ticker on Chevron. Is it just CV? CVX. Chevron Corporation up 11% today. Strong day, up $7.50 per share. So when it comes to oil, Chevron, I'm watching. Exxon for sure. Occidental Petroleum, that's a flyer that it's getting hurt a lot right now. Could have potential a couple years down the road, but for me, them cutting the dividend, that's a big thing, a big no-no for me. But either way, I'm still watching it. It had a fantastic day today, up almost 20% on the day. And when it comes to gold, good old gold, take a look at what this did today, guys. Very impressive day today for gold. It seems like we were right on our analysis of $15.95 being a support. We held that like clockwork, and we ran up like crazy today. I believe gold was up almost 3, maybe 3.5% at its peak, meaning GLD, which was an ETF I said that I would consider swing trading, although I didn't. GLD GLD was up 1.64% today. And in the short term, guys, like I've been saying, I think gold has a lot of upside. So that means I think GLD has a lot of upside, which is why I am watching it as a gold play here. And when it comes to some other stocks, CCL got absolutely decimated today, down another 10%, and it's so crazy how quick the tides turned on this thing. It was $50, down to $8, tried to recover back up to $20, now it's back under $8 in the matter of a couple of days. And honestly, I see a lot more pain in Carnival Cruise Lines and a lot of these other stocks like the airlines. We have Delta, DAL, down another 5% today. We have American Airlines down another almost 6% today. I believe these stocks, as well as restaurant stocks, they're going to continue to see a lot of hurting, guys. And when it comes to overall tech names, we did pretty well in the tech stocks other than Facebook today. Facebook was actually down $1.41. Google was actually up $15, up about 1.4%. Microsoft up $3.15, up about 2%. Apple had a pretty decent day, up about 1.7%, up $4 per share. So a lot of these tech names are doing quite well in terms of mega tech. And I've talked to you guys and really portrayed my opinion on here about the tech stocks, the big name tech stocks. And I think once Apple, if this happens, that is, but once Apple, once Microsoft, these big behemoth companies, Google, Amazon, once they see more red, that could be where we might be seeing a quote-unquote bottom in the market. Once the bottoms fall out of the mega tech names, let's say Apple gets under 200, Microsoft gets, let's say, under 120, 110, Google under 1,000. These are going to be points where I would be buying more in the markets, because at that point, the overall markets are going to be down a lot more, if that makes any sense, right? So overall, guys, I feel like that is it for today's video. I got out a lot that I wanted to talk about in terms of the jobless claims numbers, when it comes to a bunch of stocks I'm watching, oil stocks and ETFs that I'm keeping my eyes on. So I hope you all found value in that. And let me know down below in the comments any trades you made, any stocks, any ETFs you're watching, and maybe some that you're looking to buy here for the long term. I would love to know what you guys have to think about that down below in the comments section. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see further content like this. And if you want 2 free stocks from Webull valued up to $1,400, check out my affiliate link down below in the description box. All you have to do is put in $100 and you get those 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for the support as always. Stay safe out there. Stay safe, guys. Peace out. How's it going, everybody?